What's up guys, Miracle Canine Training. Happy New Year. We are excited to be launching a brand new series of videos here that are going to be detailing a little bit more of our training process. So today what we want to do is we want to make a little bit of a video kind of explaining some of the introduction stages to our training. So what that's going to be is introducing the leash, right? If anybody's ever done our training programs before or seen our training programs, you'll see that one of the first things that we do with all of the dogs is we teach nonverbal commands using only the leash. So essentially what that means is we're teaching the dog to understand what to do when they feel the leash. 9 times out of 10, the problems that you're gonna have in your day-to-day with your dog when they're on a leash, particularly reactivity, pulling, things like that, come from the dog only having an association with the leash of essentially a restraint, right? So something that's holding them back from getting to things that they want to get to. So what we want to do is we want to reverse that, and we want to get them seeing the leash as information, right? So when they feel it, they have control over that pressure, and it means to do different things. We're going to be using the leash to teach sits, downs, getting onto a bed, coming to us, heeling, all sorts of things like that. And we're going to be using a combination of the prong collar and the leash to give that guidance, as well as food to be marking when the dog is doing the correct thing. When we're doing this, this has little to nothing to do with the actual command. So if your dog already knows sit or down or bed or place or come or any of those things, it doesn't matter. This is about the understanding of the leash. So though we're using those positions physically, we're just using them to facilitate the association of the leash in different directions. So I have my dog Vinny here right now. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be demonstrating this process with him. Now, obviously he's done this before. He knows this kind of stuff, but what I'm trying to show you guys is what essentially a finished end product of this leash pressure looks like. So we're going to get started. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over those specific things that we're teaching with the leash individually first. So our sits, our downs, our bed, our heeling, and our recall. From there, what we're going to do is we'll show you kind of how to start combining some of those things, and we'll kind of just demonstrate all of it together and making sure the dog is fluent with it. So what I'm doing again is using leash pressure in different direction, whether up, down, straight lines, moving towards things, whatever it may be. And then I'll be using a yes marker when he completes that position that essentially marks to come and get some food from me. So first things first, we'll start with our sits. I'm going to walk around. The initial idea here is that when he feels leash pressure up on the leash, it should cue the butt to come down. So what I'm going to do is just walk around. I'll wait until he's not necessarily anticipating the position, and then I'll apply pressure. The second his butt hits the ground, pressure comes off. Yes. And then I'll mark with yes and reward for that. So I'll do that a couple of times. Same deal. I'm going to walk around just so he's not anticipating or guessing or anything, and then leash pressure. Yes. And you see that the leash in itself is essentially our cue. Yes, it's essentially our command, just like we would say sit, and the dog would understand getting into the seated position. Yes. 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 Now, next would be downs. Same concept. We're just doing leash pressure down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around for a minute here. And then what I'll do is I'll come to a stop, apply leash pressure down. Yes. And then I'll mark and reward for that. In this case, you could use either your foot for it, like I'm doing here. So I could stop, leash pressure down. Yes. Or you could also use your hand and reach down. Yes. And pull down on the leash. I tend to, with some dogs, start with using my hand for it initially and then transfer to my foot. Sometimes you could get a little bit more consistent with your pressure down using your hand than with your foot. But in the end, I want to make sure they understand it that way because it's giving the command from a neutral position, essentially. Yes. Same deal. Yes. Yes. Again, all of this is completely nonverbal here. Yes. Next, we'll do beds here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk up to the bed. I'll pull towards the bed. Yes. And then mark and reward. Pull towards the bed. Yes. Mark and reward. Pull towards the bed. Yes. Mark and reward. Then we'll show our recall, and I'll use the bed for this. So I'm gonna pull towards the bed. This time, instead of marking with my YES, what I'm gonna do is pull towards me, yes, and have him understand that that straight line as well means to do something here. And this is all taught through that combination of the leash, yes, and positive reinforcement. And we don't move on to this stage until this looks relatively smooth. Yes. Same deal. Onto the bed, pull. Yes, mark and reward. Heeling would be the same thing. So in this case, I would pull towards me into that heel position, and then I could walk around and I would use my leash to shape the general heel position. And again, I haven't given a single command yet. We want this leash to become this clear to the dog. You could add sits in. You could add your downs in. You could do sits out of the downs or back down, teach your dog the push-ups. You could pull towards you onto the bed, pull towards you into a sit, into your down, yes, and mark and reward for that. So you could see we want a very, very clear understanding and association of this leash. It should just mean information to the dog. This will, one, start to sidestep a lot of the issues you may be having on the leash because they're starting to understand it and not see it as this tool of frustration. And then in addition to that, it sets you up very, very clearly to start implementing your remote collar into this. The reason why this leash is so important, the reason why we start with it with all of our clients is because when we transition to the e-collar, the stimulation from the e-collar has no directional component to it. There's nothing to it that says move this way, this way, this way, this way, right? The leash does that, right? I can move in any direction that I want to with this leash to get him understanding what it is that I specifically want him to do. So when I go to add that foreign stimulus into it, I could pair the two together. So if I want him to get into that down position, what I could do is press and hold the stim, help him down, release both when he gets into the down position, and essentially he'll start to pick them up all the same, and that e-collar will become our invisible leash like our goal is all along here. So hope this answers any questions you guys may have about the leash. Hope this demonstrates it pretty well. Again, this is a dog that's done this for a long time now at this point, so he knows the game pretty well, but that's what it should ultimately look like and the reason why we teach this stuff. If you have any questions, let us know, and look forward for more videos.